Something I get asked about all the time is what would you do if you only had 2 mics to do drums? Now, Nick and I recorded drums all day today, and I did the full Monty, right? And then the last song that we did right now, I thought, let's go and do this same song with the bare minimum. I'm in the room with a laptop and a Focusrite. I got nothing else going on and just 2 57s up there. Nothing special about these 57s. They're just up here in a spaced pair off of the drum set. And we're just gonna use these 2 57s into this Focusrite. And then I have a headphone splitter so Nick and I can both hear the click and the track. And that is all that is happening here. All of these other mics were for the previous recording, and I'll play that for you then so we can compare. But we are currently just using these 2 57s. So one thing that I'm noticing whenever I'm listening to it is we don't have quite as much of the kick as I'd want. And whenever you're just using 2 microphones, you got to go back to that old school mentality. Back in the day, whenever they were setting up microphones, they only had 2 microphones sometimes to do the entire band. And so it was like, cool, I am hearing the drum set great. Let's move the microphones away from them and put the singer closer. Let's put a trumpet player closer. In this situation, I want to hear a little bit more kick drum, so I'm going to go ahead and drop these microphones down a little bit to be closer to the kick drum. The closer you are to the thing you're trying to record, the more of it you're going to hear. Still going to do the spaced pair thing, but just change the angle of them a little bit so we get a little bit closer to the kick drum, and we'll see how that sounds. A lot of this stuff, whenever you're doing it, is gonna be trial and error. You don't have the flexibility to be able to do exactly what you want, so you gotta just try stuff until it works. Now, it feels like I'm definitely getting more kick drum in there, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to wait until we hear it in the speakers to know for sure. But yeah, so that's what, if I was gonna do 2 microphones, I would do exactly like this. If all you have is 2 57s, it is enough. 1 57 is enough. 2 57, you're playing with house money. So don't even hesitate. Like, a lot of people think I can't do these big productions because I don't have enough microphones or I only have a 2-channel interface. A lot of damage has been done in the musical world with 2 channels. I am back in front of my computer. It is the next day. I have the opportunity now to sit with this in the tracks themselves, and I wanted to show not just what they would sound like if I just dropped them in, but the tiny amount of things that you can do. So I did a little bit of processing. I just put this Saturn II on here with a little bit of low end. I put a Pro Q. This is a resonant thing from those like ring outs from the room. And then this is the ATR 102 for just a little bit of flavor. This song starts with the drum intro, so we'll start with the drum intro, and then you can hear it when all the instruments come in. That's what this sounds like. Pretty good. Now here's the second drum recording where I moved the 57s down a little bit to have a little bit more kick drum in them. both of those are pretty good, but I thought I could take it one step further. And that one step further was going into my downloads folder from where I brought these videos in to edit them, and I imported these videos from my iPhone in here. Now, when you are recording on an iPhone in landscape mode, you are recording in stereo. So you get a stereo file, and that stereo file happens to be a little bit off the kit. So I got a room sound as well. So I went ahead and matched those two up timing wise so that, well, almost anyway, so that they're pretty close in timing to what was going on. And now let's hear them together. And here's the second take with the lower 57s added in with the iPhone mic. Now, with as good as those sound, some people might be saying, why even bother setting up more microphones? Well, I'll tell you why. Because once you get more microphones, you get a lot more options, you get a lot more cool stuff. I did some great stuff, like I put a mic about 1 billion miles away in the bathroom. I also put another microphone in the piano. Here is what the far room sounded like. And here's what the piano mic sounded like. And here's what all of my mics sounded like once I finally put them in place. Like I said, you get a lot more options, but it doesn't mean that it's the end-all be-all. This was a specific sound I was going for. I was going for this 90s rock kind of Smashing Pumpkins kind of feel, so I went for that whole thing. But I could absolutely get away with doing this with just 2 microphones on drums if I really needed to. There's a lot of other ways to do it, so don't be afraid to try stuff out. Now, you saw how I had the stereo rooms added. Imagine now if I put 1 microphone of those 57s in the kick drum, 1 microphone by the snare drum, and then use that iPhone mic to then get my stereo image. It wouldn't be perfect, it wouldn't be great, but it would be better than not having any drums. So I always say, if you can't make it better, make it worse. So lean into that garage rock feel if that's what you're going for. Thanks for watching. Leave some comments down below. I'm Greasy Will. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Patreon. You can find me on all the things where I give out information for free and sometimes for money. Thank you for joining me.